Tonight on Podcast Them Down, we are reviewing Dream Theater's show at the Anthem in Washington, D.C., but it's all kind of moot because the tour's over and they'll come back in 6 months with another tour. So here we go anyway.
Podcast Them Down!
Hail Metal Nation, it is I, Tim, that's Mike, that is Mark. All of us are in Eisenmore and recently vacated graves, true zombie metal. So I would put links to those in the description, but we all know you're not going to click it because you'll be too busy clicking the Patreon button for Podcast Them Down, and for that we thank you. All right, so Dream Theater the other day. When was that show anyway? It's been a long fucking weekend. March.
Friday.
Yeah, it was Friday, March 21st at the Anthem in Washington, D.C. First time they've played that particular venue, not the first time they've been to Washington, D.C. And they are touring for their album Parasomnia, but it is not the Parasomnia tour. So figure that one out.
Yeah, that actually surprised. I mean, I understand why, but it surprised me somewhat.
Well, it's the 40th anniversary tour. That's right. Why all the graphics had I thought the graphics were sick, actually. The XX Dream Theater Majesty logo XX for 40th. That was fantastic.
I like that one more than the stone X's. There was like one X in front and then two on one side and one on the other. It's like, I see what they were going for.
Yeah. So it was the second to last show of the tour, right?
Yes. And
they just played Radio City Music Hall.
Right. And I have shocking revelations about the show before and after the one we saw, but we'll get to that. Yeah, and once again, it was just Dream Theater. Anthem, I prefer it when it's just Dream Theater. You know, they do two sets. There's a short intermission, you know, because not only is the band getting old, but so is the audience. And they all need a bathroom break. And yeah, so I don't know. Let's get into this. So I walked in minutes before it started. It was perfect. And this venue is like in Southeast DC, and it's in like this it used to be like the worst part of DC, and then the Nationals came and they bulldozed a bunch of houses that people lived in, and then they built it all up, and now it's all snooty. And that snootiness is spread all the way to the water, formerly the waterfront, but now it's that whole area is the
wharf.
The wharf, yeah, with an H. And like Gordon Ramsay's got a restaurant there. You can get a $22 burger. I ate over in Foggy Bottom, which is near George Washington University, and I only paid $17 for a burger plus tip. So that's where this venue is. I personally don't like going to shows there, but on the metro, which is what they call the subway in DC. So, you know, and it's just a straight shot down one of the lines, but it is like a half-mile walk from the station.
Did you take the metro down?
Yes. More accurately, I took it back, but
sure.
But yeah, so that's my hack for the Anthem. Take public transportation and hike for half a mile.
I'm always worried about like the show getting out too late or something.
Well, I wasn't worried about it because it was Friday and it's Dream Theater, and you know they're all in their 60s and need to go to bed.
I mean, it is always a bit. I do remember when I was younger being worried about that. Like I want to say on weekdays the metro stops running at a really inconvenient time. Was it like 11 maybe? Well,
sounds right.
Like 11 wouldn't have really worked.
Yeah.
So this venue, big open space in the last time I went there, which was, I believe, to see Judas Priest, but they put folding chairs down. But let me tell you, they were the most comfortable folding chairs I have ever seen. And it was
they were almost wide enough for all of the average Dream Theater fans that were in attendance.
Yeah, so you know, like when a pop group comes through, I'm sure there's plenty of elbow room. I was seated right next to the bathroom, which was convenient but annoying during the intermission. Let's see, I paid $5 for a Coke, and as for the sound, that was the best I've ever heard Dream Theater. The mix was fantastic. Like, everything was clear. Sometimes the keyboards were too loud, but other than that, I have no complaints. The sight lines, like, I was pretty far in the back because I'm not made of money, because not enough of you have contributed to the Patreon. So, and maybe when they come back, we'll have enough that we can get front row seats. You know, that's the plan, and then we can review that. There we go.
The seats I had were great.
Yeah,
the seats right behind me were not great.
The seats I had were fine, except for the fact that seats were basically useless at that.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, and we actually discussed this right before the show, and it was like, do you think that people will sit down on the floor, like, because like the people up in the balcony seating were pretty much seated the whole show.
Yeah, that's the seats you want.
And, yeah,
that's what you want for Dream Theater. Is you want a front row in one of the boxes or the mezzanine.
Because like the seats on the floor that we were in were more just forcing us to stand in orderly rows than they were really for sitting.
Yeah, it actually backfired, right? Because like you couldn't adjust. You know, if you had somebody tall in front of you, like say a Mark in front of you,
right? I felt bad.
But you know, like at a regular show, you might kind of like shift a little bit, and you know, there was no
stand right behind them.
Right, but you couldn't do that, and of course, some guy who was much taller than me stood directly in front of me, and then switched and stood directly in front of John, who also came to the show. So it was.
Well, I'm glad he came over to say hi.
So the seat next to me actually did remain open.
Oh, huh.
Nice.
So your
wife didn't come with you.
No, not that. So me and the guy on the aisle kind of like were able to half offset a little bit, try to relieve the people standing behind us.
So stuff that is kind of talking about the band themselves. I found it interesting. I mean, not that I would have expected anything different, but it's like, I guess Portnoy's epic drum setup was just in storage somewhere.
I think he mentioned that, and he has a name for it. It's like Bernard or something. He's like, I took Bernard out of storage. I don't think that was his name, but yeah, apparently it's just been there. Yeah, so his drum kit was the like 1.5 drum kit thing he had towards.
I mean, it's like 2 full kits, right? There's 3 kicks.
Right, but it's like he can play. He played the ballads, so if you're looking at it from the audience, he played all the ballads on the left side and all the heavier stuff on the right side.
Right.
So does it have 2 snares? I was trying to figure that out. Okay.
So it has 2 snares. It has 3 kick drums, like Mark mentioned, but like one of them is the left kick drum for one half of the kit, and the other's the right kick drum for the other half of the kit. It is completely obnoxious as a drum kit in a way that's totally different from Mike Mangini's obnoxious drum kit. You know, it's impressive how they can both be obnoxious in completely different ways. And I absolutely hated it when I saw this version of Mike Portnoy's kit the first time. I don't know what it is about this time, but it was significantly less annoying. But I did notice they had to have 3 overhead mics.
That's just the hallmark of like a prog band that's made it, is to have the drum kit so massive that you probably have to have 2 copies so that the one for the next show can already be staged. Right, because it takes so long.
Speaking of obnoxious keyboard situation, so he scaled back to just 1 keyboard and 1 keytar, as far as I can tell. And the Continuum and the pedal steel guitars.
But the Continuum had more. It was like a Continuum station, was it not?
Yeah, it was separate from the keyboard. Yes,
and I felt like there was a keyboard there. I wasn't able to see that. I could tell it was a Continuum, but it felt like he was doing like
Well, the Continuum, I think, has like a keyboard underneath it, kind of like the 2-layer thing.
Oh,
right, because he was doing pads. He was doing like the pads below it.
I watched Score recently, and he had at least 3 keyboards, so I felt it was scaled back. Now, that might not actually be the case.
I mean, we might get to this later, but I always think it's so brave of Rudis to play the Continuum, because he's like really exposing vulnerability as a keyboardist, being able to play something out of tune. And like,
we have to remember that we're all Dream Theater nerds, so we all know what the Continuum is. The Continuum is basically, it's what?
I need you to pause for a second. I mean, given that he plays with James LaBrie, I'm pretty sure he's pretty comfortable with playing out of tune.
You don't have anything nice to say, Mike.
We'll get there. So the Continuum, it basically is like a keyboard, right? But it's squishy, and so you can like press down and slide around on it.
Yeah, it's a trackpad. It's not discrete keys.
Yeah, and you can, like, depending on where you are and how hard you press, that changes the sound. You can hear it in the beginning of Octavarium, and that's not foreshadowing at all. So the guitar he just used for a solo or two, and I'm pretty sure he's like, there's one guitar that's available on Amazon, and I'm pretty sure that's the one that everyone uses. It's a Roland. It cost $1,100. And I'd totally buy one if I had $1,100. So maybe I'll get that after I spend $1,100 on the Dream Theater Ball Tour ticket. All right. So, and then John Myung did in one place, the bassist. I think he only moved to the center once towards during the last song. And then John Petrucci, typical setup, guitar.
He puts his leg up on.
Yeah, I didn't count how many guitars he used, but it was like the same guitar in different colors as usual.
Yeah, I feel like Myung is like the most, and I don't mean this in a negative way. He's like the most machine-like musician in the band.
Now that Mike Mangini's gone, yeah.
but I mean, like he's just like precise. I was watching him during. There was some ballad, and during the ballad, he's just going like. Brrr.
Yeah, it was the intro to Octavarium, and he there was just enough lead on him that I could see his fingers just like rolling for like 3 minutes, like keeping warm or whatever during the keyboard and then keyboard guitar intro to Octavarium.
Yeah, it's like he does exactly like if you were. I don't know, if you were like a music teacher and you were trying to drill into your students exactly what you should do.
That'll get you fired.
Well,
drilling into your students.
Oh yeah, that's
Get
right.
out of here.
The RBG method.
Boo that, man.
That's different. That's different. Yeah. Oh, boo! I got boo too somewhere. Go ahead. I'll find it at an inopportune time.
but basically, I mean, he just.
Okay, go on.
I remember seeing some. I can't even remember the interview about John Myung being the only musician that whoever was being interviewed had ever met that warms down.
Yes.
After a show.
I don't do that.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Apparently,
I know that's a thing for like running.
Yeah.
Okay, so they I guess let's talk set. So 2 acts and an encore. They opened, they had the playback intro, something.
Yeah.
Some synth thing. Then they came into Metropolis Part 1.
Yeah, just straight into Metropolis Part 1. Like, no easy song to warm up. No, make sure the mix is good.
No,
get the crowd going. Just straight punch you in the face.
And it was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
And then they did Overture 1928 and Strange Deja Vu. And then The Mirror from Awake with the outro was like the solo section from Lie, and which is the next track. Because the mirror just segues into Lie. So there's no actual ending to that song. So they did this weird like transition into the Lie solo section. And then the next song was, I've always hated the name of Barstool Warrior. It's a fine song.
I actually really like the song.
Yeah, it's a good song.
I'm ambivalent on the song.
It's also it's the first track played tonight that Portnoy had like no involvement in.
Right. Yeah, so it was a Mangini song. What album was it on? Was it on Dream Theater or
Distance Over Time?
Okay, yeah.
The name of the album. Yes.
But they made up for that song.
So
I love that song.
I like it. I don't love it. So there we go. There's the hierarchy. Then they played Hollow Years, but they did the 96 demo version, which has like extra lines in the verses, but like it's also a different melody there. And maybe it's just because I've heard the album version of Hollow Years so much, like it just feels, those extra lines just feel so out of place and don't fit. And like I'm glad they cut them. You know?
I think that the Hollow Years demo version is way better than what made it to the album. But off of that same Falling Into Infinity demos, I think that You Not Me is a way better song than the original You or Me that was like one of the demos. I think You Not Me is a way better song.
Yeah, I mean,
but the problem is Years, that like pre-chorus, I love it. I love that version.
The problem is, I think I've been listening to Hollow Years for like 26 years that way. And now there's extra verses all of a sudden. Because
you gotta be getting the official bootleg sooner.
Yeah, well, back in those days, it cost a lot of money to get those bootlegs. They weren't just all over YouTube.
So, yeah, I was confused. I was like, dude,
are they all fucking up at the same time?
It's like, am I missing something? I clearly am. I clearly don't know this part. Why don't I know this part?
Yeah, and
just keeping it fresh.
It was a nice treat. All right, so then they did Constant Motion. That one's off 2000s.
Systematic Chaos.
And then As I Am. And then they're like, we're taking a break. So, okay, so then there was a brief intermission. I checked
15
out
minutes.
Well, after they did some random cover jam outs after As I Am, though.
Oh, they did. Oh, they also did Paradigm Shift at the end of Hollow Years, the Liquid Tension Experiment song. They As I Am ended with Seven Nation Army and some Enter Sandman in the outro, just like jamming on the riffs. So 15-minute interlude. That's when I went to look at the merch. They had their shirts were less expensive because again, you're in Southeast DC. A beer is going to cost $12, $15. You know, so
beer actually cost $10, but it was only 12 ounces.
So, the correct strategy is to pre-game out of the area, and then bring it with you into the area in your tum-tum. They had it's that way when you tell the cops, you know, never mind. They did have a soccer jersey I kind of liked, but that was like $80. They had, you know,
baseball jersey.
All the stuff I wanted was the expensive ones. Their t-shirts have never really done it for me in a long time. It was just like, here's a design we threw together. Give us $40.
Honestly, of the Dream Theater t-shirts overall, like, again, that 40th anniversary tour logo was cooler than just getting like an album art shirt or something. But yeah, like, I'm pretty stocked up on band tees right now. I just can't fit anymore. In 2008, when I bought a Dream Theater shirt at a concert, I think it cost me $35 at the Bank of America Pavilion. So adjusting for inflation, they're pretty cheap now.
Nice.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like they overcharged you back then.
I think the tickets were only $40 though.
They did have that Scenes from a Memory novelization that they were selling. So there's a tip. They'll have that probably on the tour. I bought it. I still haven't brought myself to read it. I'm worried it's going to be bad. I haven't heard any reviews about it. Right.
I was looking for a patch, and they had like hats and a $15 keychain, and they didn't seem to have a patch. So,
and they had $65 shorts.
Pay more for half of pants?
Yeah.
Unacceptable.
Yeah. So that was the merch.
Portnoy was wearing he always wears basketball jerseys, right? And instead, usually you'd see him wearing like local teams jersey, but this time he was doing a purple jersey with 40 on it for the 40th anniversary tour. Yep. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Portnoy looks like he's always ready to start a pickup game, you know?
Oh yeah.
But he's got no ups with those scrawny legs. I feel like his drum kit is designed for you to be able to see him very well too, because all of his cymbals were like perfectly flat. Lots of like little cymbal stacks. Anyway,
he loves
you could hear them all though. Like the drum mix at that show was excellent versus like the drum mix for Maiden. Like the Maiden show was just like kind of flatter. Like the cymbals were kind of like, and that was it.
I don't know that you wanted to hear the drum mix at the Maiden show all that way. Throwing shade tonight.
Jesus.
Don't fuck with Mike. He might lightly insult you. All right, so
taken down by a 40-year-old bald man. Don't fuck with me.
So Act 2 starts. It opened with like a video of they were going through all the album covers, and they had like orchestral versions of songs off album.
And each video was sort of themed around the album art.
And it was all AI garbage.
Was it? Do you think it was all AI garbage?
Yeah.
Maybe the transitions. I wasn't watching too close. During all the songs, they had backing videos, and it ranged from stuff like, that clearly had a lot of work put into it, and then some stuff was just like
Winamp visualizations,
still images. Well, it was more like images that they'd zoom in and shake around. Just to give some kind of visual. Oh, I lost the thread on something I was going to say about Jordan Rudess's keyboard. He has an LED display around it now, LED panels, and it goes through various display modes, and one of them is a piano that reacts to what he plays, so you can see what he's playing on the front of his piano, but it's like from the perspective of you playing it. So when he goes up high, it goes the other way on the LED display. That was distracting the fuck out of me.
Yeah. They should have flipped that.
Yeah, he's also got some kind of sine wave thing going on. I enjoyed that, but I was like, is this accurate?
It was like, this is neat, but maybe these patches are just like exactly like there's no variability in them at all. It's just the perfect
sine waves.
Right.
Okay. So after the orchestral thing, they went into the first new song of the first song from Parasomnia of the show in the second act. Usually, don't they cram all their new songs into the first act?
Yeah, I was surprised by that, but I guess if you know you're going to come back and play the whole album, then it was a little shocking to just get 2 songs off of it.
I had thought that the Act 2 was going to be Parasomnia. That's what I thought it was going to be.
It would have made sense.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. So Night Terror, then Midnight Messiah. Then they played This Is the Life, which is another Mike Mangini era song, the ballad.
I can't even.
And then they did
from.
I got no idea. Like all those albums, all the 2010s albums just blur together for me. I don't even know. It's just like if you give me a song title, I can tell you what decade it's from, but that's about it.
Yeah, I did think both of the new songs went over great live, and like were good songs for the vocals.
I'd say what you're foreshadowing our next topic, I bet. So then after the ballad This Is the Life, they played the ballad Vacant off Train of Thought. And then
which I thought was really interesting because the album version of that track has, a cello feature. And they did most of these songs without any tracks at all. And for Vacant, Petrucci did, guitar volume knob wizardry to roll in all the notes and got like, a cello-esque sounding thing and played the cello part. And I thought that was pretty neat.
It sounded good.
Yep. And then they did Stream of Consciousness and then Octavarium.
Yeah, absolute banger.
I've never seen Octavarium live. Well, I haven't seen most of these. Yeah, Octavarium. Fantastic. I love that.
When they started playing even at Stream of Consciousness, it was like, this is basically my favorite greatest hits Dream Theater show. Like, yeah. I mean, getting like The Mirror in there, Hollow Ears.
Yeah, it was a fantastic selection of songs. It was a good balance of like songs everyone knows, tweaks to songs everyone knows, and then like, of course they're gonna do some of the new stuff, and then like deep enough cuts where the whole thing was interesting. In a good way. So they play Octavarium, and a lot of these songs, by the way, had opportunities for Mike Portnoy to sing. So. And then the encore. This is where different. The show before.
Let's talk about Octavarium first, real quick.
Sure.
So like Octavarium shows up in the set as soon as the keyboard starts playing. They're going to play the whole thing because they're not going to like tease the Continuum keyboard intro and then play something else. That'd be cruel. But like it's a 24-minute long song. And we've all been standing up for like an hour and 45 minutes at this point, and none of that mattered. Like, just fully enthralled by Octavarium, straight through, fantastic song. Like, there's not a lot of bands that can pull out a 24-minute long song 2 hours into their set, and everyone's like, hell yeah.
That's a good point.
It did not occur to me that song was 24 minutes long. It's been so long since I've listened to it. But yeah, you're right.
Talking about you listen to it on Friday.
Fucking smart ass.
Ariel, that's for me. All right.
But I mean, like, I'm usually I don't like standing at shows, even though a lot of shows where I'm standing. But yeah, that just totally did not bother me there. That's interesting.
Yep. Yeah, it was fantastic. And I knew they were going to play it. When the Continuum's there, they're going to play it because that's why it's there. So, okay. So the encore is here's the shocking revelation. So, for the encore, they came out and did The Spirit Carries On. Now, in the previous show and most of the rest of the tour, they did, Home first. And then The Spirit Carries On. So we missed out on Home. But
it is disappointing because I love it.
It is disappointing. It might be my favorite 90s Dream Theater song. But the next show in New York, they played The Best of Times for the first time ever. So not only did we get less encore, but New York also got less encore, but they got another like huge song.
New York also skipped a couple other songs.
See, that I didn't actually notice because I was just focused on the fact that they played The Best of Times for the first time. Oh, yeah, they played Under a Glass Moon that we didn't get, The Dark Eternal Night that we didn't get.
Well, so we got Constant Motion and As I Am instead of Under a Glass Moon and The Dark Eternal Night. So they
were switching out those two?
Right, so there were like 2 to 3 songs in this set that they were switching at different shows, and it's kind of like a hybrid of Portnoy used to make a set for every city based on how recently they had last come there. And then just, the band, after he left, just played straight through the same set. So I thought that was kind of neat to like, have your kind of core set and then have like, some songs that you can change things based on how everyone's feeling or the last time you played the city. Like I thought that was a cool way to do it.
Now, so I don't like The Dark Eternal Night because specifically of Mike Portnoy's vocals. or whatever he says. But would I trade As I Am and Constant Motion? Would I trade those for The Dark Eternal Night if it meant it came with Under a Glass Moon? I don't know. That is a hard choice for me. I don't know.
Other places also got Panic Attack, and I can't remember what we got instead of Panic Attack.
They covered the Judas Priest song?
Yeah.
I like that song too. We did not get we didn't get Panic Attack. It looks like New York did.
But did New York get the Mirror?
And Cincinnati got it. Let's see. Cincinnati got the Mirror. New York got the Mirror. We got Barstool Warrior instead of Panic Attack. No. Cincinnati got Barstool Warrior too. So I don't know.
Maybe they're getting tired at our show, you know?
When they do Under a Glass Moon and The Dark Eternal Night, and Panic Attack, it seems like those three get traded for Constant Motion. We end up with fewer songs, but I bet they all add up to the same length.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Dream Theater problem, you know. So, all right. So then, and then they closed with Pull Me Under. They said thank you. I got out of there. They rode the Metro home, and so, all right. Now it's time to talk about James LaBrie.
Well, hold on. Before we get there, I had a discovery. Here, 1 second.
Discovery is a Symphony X song, not a Dream Theater.
So here's my parking ticket that I got because I didn't read the signage properly. And it was $30, my parking ticket.
Oh, that's not so bad.
Which is surprisingly reasonable.
It's probably cheaper than a parking garage.
So I was kind of thinking, it's like, you almost just want to roll the dice, right?
I just did Spot here or whatever, and I just did a garage nearby for $16.
Yeah, but Anthem has parking too, I think, the building, and it probably costs $50. So,
yeah, I didn't have to wait in any line to get out.
$30 ticket, not so bad.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't even have to pay that. We're not reciprocal with them.
I was like, oh man, especially as we walked there, we saw the guy like walking away. I was like, damn it.
If they had skipped Pull Me Under, you would have.
Well, also we stopped by like this tea place that did like boba or whatever. If we had skipped
bougie
that,
motherfucker.
Yeah, sorry.
That's an expensive ass boba.
Yeah, it was pricey. $30 though. I mean, it's oh well.
All right, so everyone loves to dunk on James LaBrie. He did okay. It's the end of the tour. You know, they've been all over the country. Yeah, they've been all over Europe already. And, you know,
as much as I took the piss out of him earlier, I love James LaBrie.
I've always I've never understood why people had a problem with LaBrie's studio vocals in Dream Theater, for the entirety of their career. I've always just approached the vocalist is A, part of the sound. B, it's not like you can really just slap a different distortion pedal on the vocalist. I've never had an issie with LaBrie's vocals.
Yeah, I haven't either. A lot of
people are like, oh my God, I can't listen to Dream Theater because, you know.
Well, good. More for me, right?
Yeah, yes, I actually
zero-sum game.
I like LaBrie a lot. I think when he's on, he sounds really good. And at this show, especially the ballads, I felt like he sounded like himself.
Yeah.
A lot of the ballads were lower.
Yes.
Real quick, the only time I don't like him on the albums is when he raps the track after As I Am. Anyway, I'd like to blame Mike Portnoy for
I'm going to blame Sleep Token just because they rap too.
Yeah, well.
And I'm mad at them right now.
That's good.
I also don't like Sleep Token. And while we're at it, I was showing my family the video of them playing Octavarium at Score, because I was like, they played Octavarium. Who's that?
Just sit down and watch this one song with me.
Yeah, that's what I did. I made them watch it, and it was funny because they put the camera on the continuum, and the company that makes it is called Hockenhaken. And my wife goes, "Oh God, is that fucking band we saw at Prog Power?" I was like, no, it's just a company. I would have thrown this away if Hawken was on it. God damn, I hate that band. Okay, anyway.
I'm still happy they got thrown off stage.
We got prog pinions tonight.
Dude,
You are listening to Prog Cast Them Down, by the way.
At that show, like, you know, they play their set and they went over and they go to take a bow and there was clearly some guy who was like, get the
fuck off stage. Well, but I was saying that the whole set.
This is now a 2-show review.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was almost as bad as the Lamb of God set for that Slayer show we saw.
Yeah, that was an extended bathroom break. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem with that set was that Lamb of God played. I really would have rather that they hadn't.
So James LaBrie, like we mentioned, they opened with Metropolis. Like you could tell right away he wasn't going for the notes. You know, it's like
right, but
he's either tired or saving his voice or again end of the tour. He did go for a few high notes later, but he was struggling. But not
even when he was singing like harmony or lower, like not octave lower, but like, you know, doing like a fifth lower of some of the notes, like he was still like hurting for some of those. And it's you guys,
he was
you gotta help him out.
Yeah, he was like wandering towards the notes a lot, you know, like starting low, and he would get there. But I mean, and it's not like, you know, it was like, you know, where he's trying to find the note. Yeah. It's like, oh,
he also, there's a definite like enunciation problem that he has live now.
Well, so I was talking with our buddy John, and he was saying something along, it's like when he gets into his head voice, and it's only live, because I'm guessing when he's like doing studio takes, it does not seem to be a problem. But it's like
or they delete those takes,
I guess. But he just sounds like crazy. I don't know a better way to describe it, but it does not sound good. And I was reading some comments online, and it's like they don't tune down for him, and it's like, yeah, I guess they probably should at this point.
Right.
Some of these songs, though, I don't know if you can tune. Yeah, they're already like using a lot of the range of the 7-string guitar. So like,
yeah, they're already at like drop A. I mean, I don't know. You could go down to like, you could go down even further, but yeah, now you're in like Meshuggah territory.
Sick.
Yeah, but I was fine with it, you know. Yeah. But I'm an apologist. So.
No, yeah, I am too. Like my takeaway was like there were parts of songs where I felt relieved and like, you know, not like oh my god, this is great. Like oh phew, he got it.
Yeah,
and like that kind of pulled me out of it a little bit, you know.
Yeah. I found myself being sort of like worried.
I was
frequently.
Well, I guess we were all rooting for him.
Yes,
and
right.
Yes,
and he didn't. He did an acceptable job.
Yeah, and
you know, but if you're one of these prog nerds, you know, or like, I was reading on the Metro Down, I was reading an interview with Mike Portnoy, and he's like already talking about the people complaining about the new album. Like, if you're one of those, you're also going to be mad at James LaBrie no matter what he does. Right. You know, so yeah. The correct stance is you need to be rooting for him, and you know, he's an old man.
He's like 61
for a singer, you know, and it's DC and it's springtime and it's getting gross out there, you know.
So he's 61 and he's like, it's not as though Dream Theater is easy to sing.
Well, and like we said, it's a 3-hour set. I mean, he only has to sing for like 45 of those minutes. He gets those nice extended breaks, which is probably one of the reasons he can do a 3-hour set.
That's the real reason Jordan Rudess has all those solos.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean that was despite the fact that I know we're all rooting for him. It's like that was the glaring issue. That
was the weak point. Which of you texted me? At least we know James is still the was. I gotta find it. Oh yeah, it's a good thing I brought this up.
Oh yeah, I texted you. Labrie's off tonight, and you were like, tonight.
Jesus. No, so it was a Portnoy backing vocal thing that was like a harmony.
Yeah, and you texted me, Mark. Well, at least we know Labrie is still the best singer in Dream Theater. That's good.
So
Can they tune down these early songs like a fifth? My boy is struggling. You also pointed out you mentioned the cello, but for the flute and octavarium, that wasn't a backing track either. That was
and flute on a keyboard is a lot more also like binary than a flute is.
I feel like he did a pretty good job of making it as organic as possible.
Yeah, and also if you watch the score when they played Octavarium in Score, James Labrie has this stupid double guitar that has a 12-string and a 6-string because the beginning of Octavarium has a 12-string part. When he played it at the show, he used a 6-string, but it had like an octaver effect on it.
Yeah.
So there's the beginning of Octavarium, I think it was, where it's a part that I always thought was played on the guitar because it's doing like the swelling, like the volume knob swelling, and Rudis played that on keyboard. I don't know if it's always been a keyboard part or if I just have always misattributed it, but I thought that was interesting.
I mean, I feel like Rudess is able to get those kind of gnarly.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Out of the keyboard.
I also like live. I don't mind the Rudis showboat soloing stuff.
Well, it's fun.
Because like the whole, like live is the place for it.
Now, I'll say in particular with Octavarium, Labrie's the range that Labrie is comfortable in worked well for most of the song. Because a lot of the song has kind of like this very soft singing style, and I thought he nailed it.
We can't talk about other things than just Labrie, I think.
Who? What? Well, yeah.
Well, that's all I have to say about this. It's my favorite Dream Theater concert of the year. Whether that remains this fall, we'll find out. It's coming down. I didn't know I thought this was the tour, but like I said, I was reading that Mike Portnoy interview. He mentioned it there. It's like, oh yeah, Dream Theater does this anyway. They'll do North America in 2 legs. So they'll hit DC on the first leg and then Baltimore on the second leg 6 months later. And I'm sure that's a proximity clause contract, so they did Philly and DC and Baltimore's right in the middle. So they'll probably hit like Richmond or Norfolk and then Baltimore and then New Jersey. Like that's usually how it goes. So I'm saving now. I want to get better seats so I can see better, or front row in one of the mezzanine. That's my plan. Don't buy those seats. Save them for me. Let me buy them.
Yeah, I mean, for a full album show, we could be seated. That'd be kind of nice.
Ask them to buy you the seats. Don't say don't buy the seats. Say, listeners,
buy us the seats and send them to me. Yeah, I like the sound of that. Send them to actually get the whole row, because I mean we all go to these shows, but no one wants to plunk down all the money at once to Ticket Bastard just for us all to sit together. So please, listeners, send us all the tickets in a row so we can sit together. All right.
We'll just live stream a podcast from the show as it's happening.
Yeah, while the show is on.
All right, in this part, Jordan Rudess is playing too many notes.
Oh no, it looks like the MIDI mapper thing isn't working properly.
Oh, James Labrie really missed that one. Mike Portnoy, they need to mic his rocket toms better. Oh my god.
Oh man, no, the rocket tom sounded great. His drum kit sounded fantastic.
Yeah, it really did.
Like, and especially for a venue that big.
Yeah, they sounded excellent. They really did. Like, it was mixed.
Oh yeah, I could hear John Myung's bass.
Yeah, how weird is that?
I've seen Dream Theater 5 times, and I've only heard John Myung's bass one time, and it was at this show for the whole show. It was incredible. There was one show that I went to where I took my earplugs out during the Metropolis bass solo, and I couldn't hear the bass over the crowd.
They just recently started plugging him back in, I guess.
My daughter, I bought one of the 40th anniversary shirts, and it just got like the 4 of them across. And my daughter was like, "Is that you?" And she's pointing to like Rudess.
Yeah, there's definitely 5 people at Dream Theater.
Oh, sorry, 5. She was pointing to Rudess. She's like, "Is that you?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Well, it looks like your band except for that girl." And I was like, "Girl?"
Is it John Myung?
Yes. Yeah. I was like, that's Myung. That's
the me of the band.
Oh, that's funny.
I feel like we should bring up Petrucci's beard, though. Looks
like
the weight where he has the guitar, the beard is like keeping his guitar dust free, and I think that
he doesn't have to use like that fret wrap or like that thing at the top of the guitar. He just
just wraps a little beard around it.
What is that? What is that thing called?
The
hair tie.
I have one. It's over there. I just don't know what it's called.
Yeah, the beard just does it now.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of his look, but I don't really care what they. I'm usually staring at their hands, not their hair and face.
As a man without
focus
hair.
up.
I'm trying. It's hard.
As a man without hair, I covet Petrucci's look at this point.
His luscious locks.
His luscious locks, his epic beard, the fact that I don't
know why it's focused all the way up here. There we go.
There you go.
You're back.
Experiencing a parasomnia.
Great tie-in.
Yeah, great show.
And we'll do another one in a little more than 6 months, I bet. So until next time, Metal Nation. I should have come up with the closing, but
it was the best of times.
As my podcast slips away.
I can't beat that.
Cast them down.
So, you know that Camelot show we saw? It was with Roy Khan. It was at the Jacks.
The Jacks?
The Jacks, whatever.
Yeah, the one where they didn't have the AC on.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Me and Clinton were in line making fun of Camelot just constantly.
Good.
And the people, like whoever we were talking to was like, "Who are you here to see?" It's like, "Oh, Camelot. We love Camelot." Just make and
that was practically this episode, you know?
Yeah, this podcast, as we're making fun of Dream Theater, is like apparently this is how I show love.